Hey guys, welcome back to Dago Babe, and this week it can't be anything else except my solo A Star Wars Story review. So of course, welcome back. It's been a while since I've been here, a couple of weeks, and truth be known, which I think I already tweeted, but if you're only watching my channel, I'm going to have a baby, and that is why I've kind of taken a step back, kind of an odd week here and there. My videos are not going up as frequently as they have been, but I'm going to try my best over the next few months to keep in check and keep the videos going every week if possible, where I absolutely can do it. So finally, Solo has been released in theatres across Ireland and across the UK and across Europe, and I was very lucky last night to get to go to the premiere here in Dublin in Ireland. I was invited by Disney and I was very, very excited, and so I got to see it kind of ahead of everybody else, which was just really awesome. But in another way it was kind of a curse because I can't really talk about it. But in this video I can. So if you've not seen the movie, then please be aware that this video contains so you might want to switch it off now and go and check out one of my other videos, or go and have a look at Star Wars things online, but go away from here because I do not want to ruin it for you. For the rest of you who have seen it, come along with me. Let's have a little chat about the film. Okay, so I was kind of skeptical about this movie, I have to admit. You know, after I'd seen the international trailer and I had seen the trailer that was released during the Super Bowl, I felt a little bit better about seeing it because I actually thought it looked kind of good. And after seeing it last night, it was better than good. It was actually really good, and I really enjoyed it. And from what I can see from other people I was talking to after the premiere, they seem to have really enjoyed it as well. One thing I did feel I was right about is that I said this movie had been influenced during my trailer breakdown. This movie had been very much influenced and inspired by the westerns, the Clint Eastwood westerns of the 60s and the 70s, and I still stand by that. After seeing the film, it stood out even more that this had been influenced by westerns. You had everything in there that you would have in a western. You had your saloon scene, that beautiful ship that Dryden Voss owned, and he had that party going on, so it was very much kind of the saloon. And then Kira, of course, was playing a sort of saloon girl in there almost, and seemed to be his right hand woman. You had the classic scene in all westerns, let's rob a train and let's run along the route of it, shooting at each other and having a go at each other. It was very much cowboys and Indians. Your cowboys, of course, were Beckett, Han Solo, Kira and Chewbacca, and then your Indians were Enfys Nest and her group of bandits. And I really felt that even her costume was kind of inspired a bit by the traditional dress of many of the native Indians that were featured in those westerns over the years. So yeah, I still felt that that was a big influence, as well as some shots like Han undoing the holster for his blaster, and secondly, of course, Beckett showing off a lot of crazy little gun tricks, and of course he's wearing a classic western style duster coat in the film. So yes, I did feel that there was a huge influence from the westerns, and of course you had the casinos as well, because you had Han Solo going in to play Sabacc with Lando. So let's talk about the actors. How did we feel about Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo? At first I wasn't sure about it, you know, because so many people were resisting it. They really didn't feel that he suited the role, but having seen the movie, I actually thought he did a pretty damn good job. I wouldn't say his performance was completely outstanding, but he was pretty good. I found him very entertaining, and I did think he captured the character of Han Solo quite well, and as a younger man. And I was surprised actually at times in the movie how vulnerable he kind of was. For example, his whole love affair with Kira, that he didn't see what Beckett was seeing in her. And he was so in love with her, I think, that he was letting his guard down, and he really kind of shouldn't have been. After all, we heard Beckett saying, you know, don't trust anybody, and he meant, you know, not just him, but also Kira was not to be trusted, and rightly so. As we saw at the end of the movie, she actually was basically willing to hang him in order to save herself, and that's exactly what she did. Things I really enjoyed in this film, along with this Donald Glover's performance with Lando. I thought he captured the character very well. He very much reminded me of Billy D. Williams at times with some of his mannerisms. He was kind of like, you see in the Western, the wealthy businessman. Kind of reminded me of that, the wealthy businessman who spends all his time in the casinos gambling. And of course he was a cheater, and he cheated left, right and centre during his games of sabacc with the cards on that little kind of slot up his sleeve. I really enjoyed his performance. He was very suave and cool and smooth, just as Lando was in The Empire Strikes Back. And I actually think that when you go from Solo into the old trilogy, I'll talk about the timeline in a bit, into the old original trilogy, and you link it up with Empire, I think that Lando's character from that to Empire will transition quite smoothly. Not so sure about Han, because Harrison Ford is such a different kind of character to the way Alden played the role, so I'm not so sure it would transition as smoothly into A New Hope, for instance. Emilia Clarke's character of Kira was very interesting, and I did predict, and I had said to my other half at the beginning, I have a weird feeling that Kira won't be as sweet as we think, and it turned out she wasn't. And of course Emilia Clarke would fool you into thinking she was very sweet, because she has those beautiful big kind of gorgeous blue eyes and quite a baby face, so she was a good person to pick if it came to physical looks, because she gave Kira that kind of sweet, innocent, lovely kind of girl next door sort of look, but she actually turned out to be quite fierce, and a great character, a really great character. I liked her a lot in it. I really enjoyed the scene where she was actually trying on Lando's capes. I have to be honest, I would do the same thing if I was on the Falcon. I'd have to try on all his capes just for fun. L337, oh my god, that droid blew my mind. I was thinking, finally a droid who's like a serious rebel here. And like, we had R2-D2 and we had C-3PO, we had all these droids over the years, BB-8, and they were all kind of refined to a certain extent. They kind of, you know, R2-D2 kind of broke the rules a bit, but they all kind of stayed quite refined. But L337 did not. I mean, she had no problem just doing what she wanted. I really enjoyed watching her pulling off the restraining bolts on the droids in the mines. That was really, really cool to watch her do that. L3, I was actually sad when they killed her off, because I thought they actually killed her off a bit too soon. And it was kind of a nice moment that she was now becoming part of the Falcon, and I suppose she forever is a part of the Falcon. So L337, technically you could say, is now in all the Star Wars movies, as well as a C-3PO, except Rogue One, right? Because the Falcon's not in Rogue One. No, it's not in Rogue One. So technically she's in all the other ones that the Falcon has appeared in. Enfys Nest, fantastic character. Again, another woman who's very fierce. I didn't expect Enfys Nest, when she took that helmet off, to be a very young girl. She seemed like she was only about, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 maybe. And at first, actually my other half first said, oh my god, it's Beckett's daughter. And I could see why I thought that, because Thandie Newton's character and Beckett, definitely the girl had a similarity to both. And it was a possibility, I suppose. And I don't know whether you were supposed to think that at first, or you're supposed to maybe continue thinking that maybe there's a connection there somewhere. But I don't think there is. But she was a cool character, and the cosplayers are going to go completely nuts with that one, with that costume that she wore, because that was amazing. That helmet and everything was just fantastic. I think the character for me in this movie that really stole it, while Donald Glover was excellent as Lando, I'm finally going to give full credit, and if I had a medal I would give it to him, to Chewbacca. Chewie finally was brought to the fore in this film. In all the other movies he kind of just stood in the background. It's just as, you know, as George Lucas had been inspired by his family dog to create Chewie, Chewie kind of remained like a family dog throughout a lot of the movies. He kind of just stood on the side or stood in the background, gave the odd sound, and that was really kind of it. Maybe he'd break down the odd door, shoot the odd thing. That was it. But in this movie we got to see more of his personality. We got to see that there was a depth to him that wasn't in the other movies. And I'm actually at the point where, could I suggest it? I'd love a Wookiee movie. I know everybody might think, how would that work? But it might be very interesting to make a Wookiee movie with nothing but Wookiees. And, you know, make it use cinematography to just make it look really spectacular. And I don't know about you guys, but over the years watching Chewie, I was always kind of able to understand what Chewie was trying to get across without having a subtitle underneath. I never needed it. I always kind of knew where he was going with what he was saying. And I don't know why that is, but I always found that. Did you think that too? And if you did, comment below and let me know if you also thought that. But I was really upset. I actually got very upset at the scene where he was trapped beneath the ground and he was just living in the mud and he was chained up. And I thought, oh my god, that's so cruel. Poor Chewie. Poor Chewie. And I enjoyed that scene where himself and Han met for the first time, and he's just literally burying Han in the mud and is going to kill him until Han does the one thing I never expected. He speaks Wookiee. And that was very funny, especially when they had it in the subtitles and it was broken Wookiee, you know, like broken English. It was broken Wookiee, so it really wasn't very good Wookiee. But, you know, referring to the iron pipe that was going up through the ground as the big stick, look at the big stick. And I really liked that. And I also enjoyed and got quite emotional at the part where Chewie is witnessing the other Wookiees being whipped and being hurt, and he can't leave with Han because he needs to help them, and he goes and he helps them. And then when Han's trying to push out the coaxium, is that what it was called? Coaxium? Yeah, it's coaxium, isn't it? The hyperfuel, let's just make it easier for myself, the hyperfuel. When they were pushing the crate of that out, he couldn't push it, and all the Wookiees swarmed around him and they pushed it out. I found that all quite emotional moments, and it showed that Wookiees, when you help them, are faithful and loyal creatures, pretty much like your dog, I suppose, right? So they kept that element of it in, but it was lovely to see Chewie having that moment where he hugged one of the Wookiees and they pressed their heads together. And yeah, I really like that. I have so much going on in my head about this film. I'm probably going to forget a lot as we go through this. So yeah, I did feel that Chewie was the star of this, so to speak. I really loved his character. I really loved it was more to him. And you could clearly see that Peter Mayhew was not in that outfit anymore, that this movie, it had been completely taken over by Eunice, which was fine because Peter at this stage is getting very old and is probably not able to do the character anymore. Oh, another thing, speaking of another actor who's gone through all the movies, Warwick Davis. We got to see Warwick Davis' actual face in a Star Wars movie. Normally he's covered up in Ewok costumes or in a creature, I think of The Force Awakens in the bar scene in Maz's bar. We didn't get to see him, but in this we got to see him and he had lines. So I was chuffed that Warwick Davis finally, we got to see him and he was talking, and I thought, oh my god, this is so cool. Finally we have an acknowledgement of Warwick Davis, all the years that he's been involved in Star Wars, and finally we get to see him. You know, and that was really cool. It was really lovely to see him in it, and what a cool little role they put him. Oh, little role! Oh my god, I'm so sorry. What a cool role! I shouldn't say little. What a cool role they put him in. Oh my god. Oh, you see, this is, and I'm not going to edit that out. No. Yeah, what a cool role they put him into as well, as one of those bandits that worked with Enfys Nest. And I loved that she was kind of starting this whole rebellion with all these different creatures from all around the galaxy who had been desperately persecuted. So yeah, I really did enjoy this film. It was just an adventure. Sorry guys, my phone rang, so I kind of had to answer to stop there. That's the only problem with doing these videos for YouTube, is that, you know, you get interruptions a lot of the time, so you have to stop. So I was saying that this movie to me was just a great adventure. It was great fun. You know, A New Hope was kind of the princess fairy tale story. This was the cowboys and Indians, the western, the outlaws. And I really did love it. I loved the look actually of the saloon bar that was in Dryden Voss's ship. I loved the gold, everything was so crisp and so clean and beautiful inside it. And I loved that singer with the gold kind of chainmail dress and the way she moved and this mouthpiece that she had on, and then the very odd little guy in the jar beside her who had an incredible singing voice. So, you know, he would have done well on The Voice, right? They wouldn't have turned around for... They would turn around for his voice, but I don't know about the way he looks. It would work out so well for him. Dryden Voss as well. I liked him. I liked Paul Bettany. I thought he was a great character, but he wasn't actually on screen all that much. I think he did, what, 2 scenes? And that was it. So he wasn't much of an antagonist. I think we all expected a bit more from him. He wasn't... I didn't fear him. I didn't see anything to fear in him at all. I just thought he's a bit of a bad guy, but you know, he doesn't drive the fear into you the way that Darth Vader did. I mean, when you were a kid and you saw Darth Vader, you were like, oh Jesus. It just, you know, even Palpatine in the prequels, you know, he did freak you out a little bit, even though I know a lot of us don't like the prequels. They did have their moments though, let's be fair, they had their moments. And one moment in particular, which will resonate of course with this movie, because I think the reason that Dryden Voss wasn't emphasised that much as the antagonist was because we hadn't actually met the antagonist yet. But we did at the very end of the movie with the greatest surprise that I didn't expect, and I heard from a friend afterwards, Gary, who said that it had actually been leaked online. Now thankfully I had avoided everything. So I did not know, and I always think that's the best thing to go into a Star Wars movie, is not knowing, because then you get the full experience of fun from it. But I did not know that Darth Maul was going to make an appearance at the end of the movie, and that was just awesome. It was so, so cool. So that of course would bring me on to the timeline, because as soon as he appeared on the screen I was like, wait a minute, where does this fit in the middle of the saga? And I really just, I couldn't get my head around it at first. I was like, what the hell? And it was only afterwards when I was at the after party and I was talking to one of the guys in 501st. Nice guy, never caught your name. I know you watch my videos. I don't know your name, but we keep bumping into each other. It's crazy. But he was saying, and I'm inclined to agree with him all right, that this was during the time of Rebels. Because of course Darth Maul had appeared in the animated series of Rebels. And someone had said that when they were watching Solo that it looked like Darth Maul had mechanical legs. Now I didn't notice that. I need to see the movie again. I've only seen it once. Normally when I make these review videos I've seen it about 6 times, but I've only seen it once. I will go back and see it again and maybe come back and make another video and discuss it. But they felt that he had mechanical legs. So obviously this, well I mean it would make sense anyway that this would be after the prequels, because if Leia and Luke were only born at the end of Revenge of the Sith, well that would mean Han Solo, who's what, roughly maybe 10 years older than Leia, would be about 10 years old at that stage. So there's no way that would be the timeline. Before that, when Darth Maul was before he was, or should I say, across the middle, before that, so that definitely wouldn't be the timeline. So I'm inclined to agree that it's somewhere close to Rogue One, between the prequels and Rogue One, somewhere around there. Maybe about 18 years, maybe 16 to 18 years afterwards, and maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years before Rogue One. Of course the ghost ship from Rebels did appear in Rogue One, and so it got me thinking. It got me thinking because clearly this movie was left with questions. So the rumours are obviously true that Alden Ehrenreich has been signed up to do more solo movies. And I'm wondering, will we, perchance, maybe get to see live action Rebels characters on screen in one of these movies? Wouldn't it be cool to see Hera and to see Sabine and to see Kanan and to see Ezra and maybe Ahsoka? I like Ahsoka a lot. So it would be really cool to see them. I don't know if they will, and I also wonder, you know, with animation, sometimes something that really works well with animation doesn't work live action. But we're talking about Disney, who are the masters of animation, and they've quite successfully made movies over the last 5 or 6 years that brought their animated stories to life in live action. So maybe they can do this. Maybe they're the ones to do this. And we shouldn't complain about Disney so much. I don't. I do not, because I'm thankful that Disney bought Star Wars out, because I don't think we would have seen another Star Wars movie only for them. And now look at me, I've got so much to talk about when I get into these videos, so it's really cool. So yeah, I'm wondering, would we see the Rebels at some stage later in a Han Solo film? And then there's rumours, of course, that Lando's going to get his own film, but maybe that's going to be incorporated into this trilogy with Alden. Maybe there will be one movie that will focus more on Lando rather than Han. I don't know. I love that there's a mention at the end of the film that Han is going to go to Tatooine. Well, Beckett actually mentions it first, because there's a big time gangster on Tatooine who's looking to get have a job done, and I was thinking, yeah, that's Slither sluggy man himself, Jabba the Hutt, and I thought that's cool, so it will give us a bit of clearer indication when they move into that part of how close we're actually coming to where Rogue One took place, or maybe Rogue One is kind of taking place roughly around the same time as all of this. I really enjoyed when Han finally went back to play Sabacc to win the Millennium Falcon, which he completely totaled doing the Kessel Run, and he seemed to be the only one who thought it was great that he did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Nobody else cared. And of course that kind of became a legacy later on, where it was a big deal, but at the time it certainly wasn't. Nobody really cared about that, except for us in the audience maybe. So the beautiful ship, which in the movie of course was based on Ralph McQuarrie's original concept drawing, which was the blue and white, crisp, clean, beautiful Millennium Falcon with escape pods still intact at the front. By the time I come out of the Kessel Run, it really looked like a heap of garbage, I won't say it. So I kind of enjoyed that, watching it get wrecked, and then seeing it sitting on that platform, which by the way, that's Fuerteventura. The whole scene was shot in Memphis Nest in the kind of desert by the ocean. That's Fuerteventura in Canary Islands. And seeing the Falcon there afterwards is completely destroyed, and then they show Lando just standing there just staring at it, and I really thought, you poor thing, it's wrecked. And at first I thought that was what Lando was referring to when he met Han on Bespin. This very famous moment that we all know well.
Are you slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler? You got a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled. How you doing, you old pirate? So good.
So I thought that's what he was referring to, but now I know what he was actually referring to was the game of Sabacc, where Han hugged Lando and he removed the cards that were in that little kind of slot that was up his sleeve so that he could win the Falcon, and win it he did. And I think that moment as well in the movie when Chewie first stepped into the pilot seat, I could feel my heart literally skipping a beat for a second. It was like, oh my god, Chewie's in the pilot, he's in the co-pilot seat, oh my god. Really, really enjoyed it. And I loved, there was a lot of action in this film. The action was kind of non-stop. A few little quiet, little moments in between, but most of it was just action, 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 action. I need to go back and see it, because when I was there, it was like 3 rows from the front. There's a lot going on, and it was on an IMAX screen. So I really need to go back, because I'm sure there are loads of little hidden things in there. Please, if you know the little hidden things, do not put them below, because I haven't spotted them yet. So I need to go back and spot all those little Easter eggs, which I'm sure are popped in all over the place for us to see. Overall, I love this movie. I definitely recommend it. I put it right up there with Rogue One. Rogue One is one of my absolute favourites. And I would definitely put it up there with it. Alden surprised me. He did a good job. Donald Glover, amazing. Emilia Clarke, liked the character. Loved when she became more fierce throughout the film. And definitely, I kind of knew that she would sell out on him in the end. I knew that might be where it's going, because let's face it, we have to get rid of her. I like that Han was just that little bit vulnerable in the movie, and then as we went on, we started to kind of see how he became this kind of skeptical, negative scoundrel by the time he's in A New Hope, because he had his heart broken, he had things happen to him, and he had people he thought he could trust who completely ripped him apart, basically. And he moved forward, and it would have developed him into the character that he became in A New Hope. Yeah, I really like this movie. I'm probably leaving so much out. Funny enough, Thandie Newton's character believe it or not, Val doesn't really stick in my mind all that much. She kind of appeared, did some really awesome tricks on that bridge when she was setting the explosives for the train, and that was it. And I thought there would have been more to her, and I thought we could have done with a little more of her, because clearly she and Beckett were in love with each other. And I really, you know, you got a brief moment around a campfire, again a very Western thing. They were only short of eating beans around this campfire and have some horses and then maybe start farting. So, you know, definitely the Western thing again, but at that moment we got to see her and Beckett being a little bit intimate with each other, and then all of a sudden, kaput, she gone. So I didn't feel an attachment to her. Rio, I loved Rio. I nearly forgot about Rio. Jon Favreau's character, Rio, the kind of space monkey. He was a great character, but again, he went too fast. When he was shot in his shoulder and he died, I didn't really care. No, really, I do care for these. I didn't really care. It had no effect on me because I felt we didn't get enough time to get to know the character. I like that the Empire didn't actually play a huge part in this. It was mainly all about this group of absolute scoundrel smugglers. The Maelstrom The Maelstrom chase was cool. I really did like the part where the Carillion destroyer kind of came through the Maelstrom and just appeared, and it was massive. I really liked that. The very opening scenes, they were okay. With Kira and Han when they were escaping from the slavery, they were okay, those scenes. The speeders kind of bothered me. I don't know how other people felt about them. The speeders were a little bit too much like the cars of the 1970s. Now I think it was intentional, but I just felt that just looks like a car done up to look a bit like a speeder, and it had gears. So it was my husband actually who noticed that. He went, it has gears. And we were thinking, yeah, maybe it shouldn't have gears. I should just have it fast, or, you know. So, but it seemed to have gears, which made it a bit too Earth-like and a bit too like our own vehicles. But then maybe it was pointing out that, you know, the vehicles in this part of this system were, you know, in Corellia were a bit old and, you know, a bit crappy. But it was so crazy because the most advanced destroyers were being constructed high above during those scenes. So I think that's it, guys. Oh, one last thing. What did everybody think about this possibility of a love affair between Lando and L337? At first I thought that's utter crap. When Emilia Clarke was talking to L337, it was hilarious when she was saying that Lando had feelings for her, but she didn't. But then when she got injured and she got blown to bits in the middle of a fight, in the middle of a battle, he really seemed to be affected really badly by it. And I wondered, is it that he was in love with her, which is too creepy to even comprehend, or that he kind of saw her as a motherly figure because she kind of looked out for him and looked after him, and maybe that was it, and she was misinterpreting that as a romance thing. I'd love to know what you think about that, guys. Please comment below. Do you think there really was a romantic thing between them? That really does not sit well with me. Or was it more that it was a motherly thing for him and he had no real human connections? I mean, every scene you more or less saw him in, he was surrounded by everything around him was not human. So I felt that he had no real human connections, and that Han was probably his first real human connection, and that's how they ended up friends in the end, even though they cheated left, right and centre with each other at Sabak to win the Falcon. The Falcon itself even kind of had a personality. It was shiny, new, beautiful, and when we first saw it, it really did have quite an impact to see it for the first time, and Han absolutely fell in love with that machine, and of course we all are in love with that machine. So I think that's it, guys. I don't think there's anything else I can think of right at this moment. I would definitely need to go and see it again, but overall I did love it. It was great fun. It took me back to the days of when I went to see A New Hope, and A New Hope was just fun. We didn't question anything. You know, we were all kids. You didn't question anything. You went and you sat in the cinema and you just had fun. The bad guy was the bad guy. You didn't care where he came from. But now everybody's so analytical, and everybody wants, you know, wants some crazy, deep, depth, intense history behind everything. It's fantasy, it's fiction. Anybody can write and break the rules, and they will be broken over the years. So I think we all have to get out of that frame of mind where we think it should go a certain way. It can go any way it wants. It really doesn't matter. They can do anything they like with this. There are no rules. It's fantasy. And I think since I've realised that and since I've opened up my mind, I'm going to these movies and I'm actually having a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying them. I loved The Last Jedi as well. A lot of people I know are sceptical, but I loved it. I wasn't happy that Luke died off, but there you go. I got to move forward with the times. I'm going to move with Disney forward with this. But I like what they've done so far, and I love Solo. Hats off to Ron Howard, who did great directing, and I'm sorry, but hats off as well to Lord and Miller, who also had influences there, and were still the executive producers on the movie. So they were still there in the background. That they were completely fired, obviously not true. They were there in the background as executive producers. I enjoyed it. Great film. I recommend it. Of course, you've seen it if you're watching this. And that's it for me, guys. Enjoy Solo, A Star Wars Story, and let me know what you thought of it. Comment below, let me know what you thought of each character, where you think it might be going to go next. It'll be interesting now that we know Darth Maul is back on the scene, and what time frame you think it might be in. So guys, that's it from me for this week. Have an amazing week, and don't forget, if you're new to my channel, to subscribe and click the bell so you get a notification every time I pop up a new video. And come with me and join the Force, and we can rule the galaxy together. Wouldn't I love that? So till next week, guys, may the Force be with you. Bye.